wasn't that bad. Did you kick me? I didn't snore the whole time, did I? Really?
Sorry, I'll do better.
I brought a prayer from Call on Me, a prayer book for youth that the Episcopal Church put out about 10 years ago. So if you will pray for me, we'll pray the prayer of adoration. Let us pray. God of all time, all seasons of our lives, source of our spark, protector of our flame, blazing truth before our birth, beyond our dying, God of all time, we come to sing your name. Here in this place, where others have been building, we come to claim the legacy of faith. Take in our turn the telling of your story, and though we tremble, speak your hope, your truth. Amen.
Hold on, dispatch, the announcement deemed important at this point.
Hello. For newly elected and continuing members of the Standing Committee who are present, you are asked to gather for a brief, and brief is underlined in said announcement, meeting at the 3 p.m. break by the back coffee table, which would be on where I'm pointing. Stage left, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Second session is a lot about the ministries of the diocese, and different people will be giving reports on various sundry ministries. When I participated in field and track, you catch that? When we were doing the field events, somebody was up, somebody was on deck, and somebody was in the hole. If you are giving a report and you are on deck, there's a chair over here so that we don't have you walk the entire length of the convention hall in order to give your report. So please, when you're on deck, just make your way over to the waiting chair. And the chair calls upon Reverend David Walker, President of the Foundation. And while it is delightful that you all applaud, I suggest that we hold our applause so we don't applause at the beginning of each report and at the end. Right?
You know, when I was asked to do this report, they go, "Can you do it in 5 minutes?" And I said, "Well, allocate 10 and I'll get it done in 5. And as I look out on this group of whom I have been associated with now for almost 20 years, there's a lot of different faces, a lot of less gray hair. There's actually people with real hair that's brown and black and red. So it's good to see you all. Things have changed a little bit. And one of the things that I'm here to, and I want to take another 20 seconds of my time, I served as the diocesan treasurer for 13 years. And the report we heard earlier today about Thanksgiving for the askings, I said that every year, because askings from the diocese were always in excess of 95%. Always. Little parishes, little congregations, big ones, everybody always paid their fair share. whatever it was, and it was more when I first started. So I just want to echo the comments that were offered earlier in appreciation for your continued commitment to the ministry of this diocese, your generosity to make this all work. And now I'll transition into my very brief report. I was there at the beginning when the foundation started in 2003, and Bishop Wagner said for all of us, because I brought this up because Bishop Gretchen said, oh, I found all these markers. It said mission imperatives, and it took me back 20 years. And one of the things we talked about 20 years ago was the health and well-being, the financial health and well-being of the diocese. That was one of the primary goals of the foundation, were to raise funds long-term for the financial health and well-being of the diocese. And we've had fits and starts. We've raised some money. We've missed some opportunities. It's kind of been up and down. But because of the money that was raised 20 some odd years ago, roughly, we have an endowment for the Episcopate. We have an endowment for Camp Cross. We have an endowment for church growth and development. And it's because of the people in the diocese that said that was important. And what I want to tell you today is, as I look out, we all know the UW is in your pocket, WSU is in your pocket, right? The symphony's in your pocket. They all want a piece of you, right? And they all have valid missions, and you all have very good reasons to give. But I'm also here to ask you, to remind you, to encourage you, that in your own personal estate plans, the things that the bishop is talking about, the events, the people, the growing in discipleship, costs money. It comes with resources. And it's great as a parish priest. It's nice that we have our stewardship campaign every year. We raise some money, we pay all their bills, that's all great. But we also know in the big scheme of things, for the future health and well-being of this diocese, or of a congregation, or of the symphony, or of whomever you want to support, it's in your estate plan. Everyone here is being asked to remember the church, whether it's your congregation, a ministry of the diocese, or even the national church. You are being implored to do your piece to help leave a legacy in this community, in this diocese, and I'm asking you to do that. The amount doesn't matter, right? We'll find the money. But it's more that your participation, big picture, for the people that will follow us into the communities, for the people that we are helping to disciple now, right? So I implore you to do that. The foundation is, in fact, alive and well. It was it needed some blood transfusion now and then, but we're alive and well. And your investments are being well served. But frankly, we need more. And if somebody wanted to write a big check today, that'd be awesome. But the reality is, I think for all of us, people like me, my hair, my age, it's in the will. It's in my will. It's in my estate plan that the church will get a portion of what God has blessed me with. So I ask you to do the same. And just so to affirm the movement of the Spirit, one of the first accounts we got to help manage in the foundation was an account that was established out of Grangeville by an incredibly generous donor. And I was just talking to the Reverend Chris Hagenboo this morning. I haven't seen him in a while. And he told me about that gift. And then he subsequently came and told me how amazing that gift has been stewarded and shepherded to help them do the ministry that the church does in Grangeville. So I asked the bishop if I could give my colleague a minute or less to just affirm what I just told you, because I didn't ask him before we showed up. He just offered it. And since we're in this mode of storytelling, this is one of our stories, a success story. Chris.
Thank you, Dave. Be brief. Eleanor and her husband, Orrin, left us a wonderful gift down in Grangeville. And when it came to time to figure out what to do with the money, I was really worried about how we were going to manage this money and make it work for the church and the church in Grangeville. And with the people on the foundation, I think Steve Boley came down and some other people came down and talked. Because at that time, to be honest with you, there was a little bit of hesitance for the people in Grangeville to trust the diocese, the money, and how they were going to handle it. But over time, between the Steve Woolley and the other people that came down, convinced us that this would be a wonderful place for it, because Orrin and Eleanor's only wish was that this money was to be used to keep the church going in Grangeville at any cost. And that was what they wanted to do. It was simple. That's all they asked. And the foundation has given that ability to us, because the management of it, we basically use the funds off of that yearly to run the physical plant and to pay my stipend, and the rest of the money that comes in from the parishioners we're able to put back into the community, into outreach programs, and to offer the use of the building to different organizations in town. So we were so blessed with that gift that Eleanor and Orrin Webb gave us, that it continues the ability for that church to function in Grangeville. And without the foundation's wisdom of guidance and doing that, it's a seamless effort for us. We just get a check every quarter from Lori, and we don't have to do anything. She takes care of all the paperwork. So I'm thankful for that we for the foundation, that it was started, and that it's available for us as for the diocese to use.
Thank you. Thank you. Chair calls on the River Matters, chair of our beloved community working group.
Welcome, one and all. The beloved community is all of us who gather in the name of Christ, all of us who are creating beloved community, not only within our church, but for the larger entity of our society. But at the same time, it focuses on BIPOC, on racial equity, on bringing the marginalized to the center, and those of us in the center stepping out into the margins. So we have 10 slides about the beloved community, and you can see the first one there. And the mission statement I won't read because it's a little bit long, but we basically are here to provide resources for individuals, for groups, like starting a beloved community in your congregation, 2, 3, 5, 10 people who make a commitment to that, and to the congregations as a whole. And we do so through promoting Sacred Ground Circles, which is a foundational experience, listening sessions. We're starting what we call Friday night at the movies, and we have advocacy, witness and protest, and book studies. And we meet on the 4th Tuesday of each month, Leo. So first, there's the Sacred Ground, and the diocese is starting one, as you heard in announcement time, and I'm delighted to report that lots of congregations have had their own Sacred Ground circles. We do our work here. This is a resource for starting your own beloved community locally. And last year, we had the Color of Compromise, which is our complicity in creating and perpetuating racism. We need to know our complicity so that we can undo that. Leo. Oh. Is there a second page down there hiding some text? There you go. The listening sessions we had 2 of in September, and we are going to have more. And we're gathering those so we can know how to respond to your needs and your wishes. We are in the middle. We're the 10th of 12 sessions once a month on an in-depth study of racialized trauma, body trauma for whites, blacks, and blue. Blue body trauma being law enforcement. That's one of our resources. And this is the working group of the diocese. This might be a duplicate of the second one, so let's move on, Leo. We are going to have this first Friday night at the movies, like A Color of Compromise. It's called the White Savior, and it's coming up in November on the 17th, I believe, and so you can go online and participate, and there'll be a discussion afterwards. There's a title. Well, there we go. You can join us online the fourth Tuesday of each month. At this point, just email rickmatters@gmail.com. One of the ones that was missing there is that each of the monthly meetings we have a time of learning, and we are going through a book, How to Create Racial Justice, and it's a book that has a study guide. So it would be a perfect resource for a small group or a congregational group, either as a book study or for your beloved community working group. And so those posters are on the table in the back corner, and there's enough that you can take at least one and post in your congregation, one of each. And you can also take a couple extra and give to a friend and invite them to participate in one or more of those. And I wanted to thank Leo. Thank you, Leo. And I'm just going to end by referring to the song we sang last night. We pray for the lonely ones, knowing that some of us are lonely. We pray for the heartbroken, knowing that some of us have broken hearts. And in the beloved community and the working group, it's if one person is lonely, if one person's heart is broken, all of us are lonely, and all of our hearts are broken. So that's the motivation for the work. Thanks.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you very much for your work and getting this group going. Chair calls on Pat Munts, who's chair of the Creation Care Working Group.
Good afternoon. The Creation Care Working Group, the function that we have right now is we serve as to connect people and parishes and missions with the resources, information, and education to help you be good stewards of God's creation. God's creation is everything that's around us. And our goal is to help you as communities access the resources, the information, and even the education so that you can better manage your properties, your landscapes, build creation care programs in your community. For the last year, after last year's convention, we hosted a book group that featured The Four Vision Quests of Jesus by Stephen Charleston. And we had probably 15 people over the few weeks that we did that in a look at the life of Jesus, in a sense, from the Native American point of view. And it was very interesting. Last spring, and there have been a lot of projects in different parishes and missions around the area. And so I'm going to highlight a few of them. Last spring, St. John's Cathedral had the Hope for Creation conference, and that was the second of one. And this year they talked about water And it's how we treat it, how it treats us, and our relationship with it in the inland Northwest. Of course, all of that goes back, for the most part, to the Columbia River. It was very successful, and it's kind of a prelude for the 50th anniversary of the Spokane Expo World's Fair that was held in 1974. So next year will be a big celebration in Spokane, and that World's Fair was the first environmentally focused one. Over the year, I've heard reports and gotten pictures and things like that from different parishes, and I'm going to read a few of them. I'm sure I've left a few out, and then, but we've had community gardens started at Nativity in Lewiston. We've had labyrinth projects at St. Stephen's, St. Michael's, Grace, and I think there's a couple of others. St. Matthew's. Okay, thank you. We had a retreat in September, and we started working on what we wanted to see on the website, the new website that the diocese is beginning to work on, and I hope I didn't spill beans on that. But this involves all of you. We need to know the kinds of things that you're doing. You know, did you put in new windows? Did you change your heating system? Did you decide your landscape needed to be updated? You know, anything that has anything to do with making God's creation better for your community, your church community, but also for your own community that you live in. That's the kind of thing we need to know about. And we'll have pictures in this website. But I would love to be able to be running pictures in the background of this talk at next year's convention. So you can send things to me. My email is pat@inwgardening.com, inwgardening.com, and that will get us started. We'll also be reaching out to find out what every parish is doing. We're going to have a program after the first of the year where committee members will be calling senior wardens for all the parishes and missions so that we can talk to you individually. Just as one of the things we do, because of my background in gardening, landscaping, extension work and that, I can do consulting with you on landscaping around churches to try and improve irrigation if you're doing it, maybe creating more sustainable landscaping. And it's all you need to do is get a hold of me and we can start from there. So, but we have to, to really be effective, we need to hear what you're individually doing. And some of this comes into play. There seems to be some money that's appearing for grants that we want to have a knowledge of whose project is at what stage, so that if there's some grant money out there that we can go for, we want to be able to do that. So please let us know what you're doing. And next year, we're going to have lots of pictures. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Chair calls on Sara Gunter for a youth and camp report.
Hi. I would like to invite George Spencer and Kason Farley and Jack McDonald and Anna Osborne up here. While they are coming, there's going to be a slideshow running while we are all talking, just pictures of this past year camp and youth events. And Skip and maybe others are going to be passing out pieces of paper for each person so that we can sing together at the end of our presentation. These incredible youth, you may come up here or not, are going to share about different experiences throughout this last year. We had the Episcopal Youth Event, and a group of youth and adults, Teresa Great and Colin Hafner, thank you so much, lead a group to Maryland for that experience, and George is going to share with you a bit about that. And Anna and Jack are going to talk about camp this summer and what that experience was like. My goal was to have to say as little as possible and let them speak for me, but I do want to make sure that you are aware or remembering or know about a few things, one of which is that we are in the 100th year of ministry at Camp Cross on McDonald Point. That is the name of the point on Lake Coeur d'Alene where Camp Cross sits. I hope that each of you has had or will have an opportunity to experience the wonder and beauty and sacredness of that place and the community that can be found there. Camp Cross is like none other, and I am overwhelmingly and eternally grateful and changed by that place and by you who have shown up there to participate and hike and canoe, to help cook and clean, to lead programming with our young people and our staff. The support for Camp Cross in this diocese is deep and wide, and there are ways for each and every one of you to participate. You are never too old. You never age out of a place at Camp Cross. So please seek out ways to be connected and celebrate with us 100 years. There's some great swag over there at those tables if you haven't seen it yet. And we are always accepting gifts and donations to support and continue to support our ministry. New Beginnings is coming up, and I believe that Anna has a plan to talk a little bit about that as well. Maybe, maybe not. I can tell you that it's going to be November 10 to 12 in Walla Walla at St. Paul's. New Beginnings is a retreat that was designed originally by our very own John Pallarine in 1982. I was being born, and he was writing curriculum. It is a retreat for middle schoolers to dig into the nuances that are unique and not so unique to middle schoolers. I find that when we start getting into the topics that we're going to talk about with them, they are wildly relevant to me today. So we're going to start digging into some of those things with them, and our high schoolers are the ones that lead this event. They will offer talks about their own experiences with family, friends, peer pressure, social media, you name it. They will facilitate small groups. They will put on skits. It's a really incredible and fun, wonderful event. If there are middle schoolers in your congregations and neighborhoods, please encourage them to come. If there are high schoolers in your congregations and neighborhoods, encourage them to come and be a part of the leadership team. We would love to have all of you. Registration for that is open. And the 2024 Camp Cross dates are finalized. They are published. They are up on our website. They are correct on our website. You might notice that there are some bizarre dates on the flyer that I made, and that is because I felt that people were too busy and didn't want to burden them with proofreading my work. So the dates are a little bit wrong, but I think intuitively so you can figure out what they are intended. But go to our website. The dates are right. Registration will be open really soon. With that, I'm going to ask George to come on up.
The stand limits me. So, George Thomas Spencer. I am 17 years old, 349 days, and around, I would say 9 hours old, give or take. Now, first off, was EYE fun? It speaks for itself. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happened there. So first off, I'm from the Tri-Cities, all the way from the West Coast, like all the way around over here would be like. And you know, like, pretty small place. But I had to travel all the way over to Washington, D.C. Great place, by the way. It was humid as well, like down below or something. Bad stuff, bad stuff. But, I mean, it was pretty nice. There had trees. Now, some fun stuff that happened is there was people spoke. They spoke really well. What they spoke about, you should listen to it. I don't know where to find that. But there was, like, really cool information on, like, Jesus and, like, stuff like that. But what was really cool were, like, the events and stuff like that. We would go to these, like, what's the word? Conferences kind of things where we'd, like, sit down and then we would see whatever the person was talking about. It could either be, like, how to participate in your community or wider things and stuff like that. Now, more interesting stories, now that kind of makes sense, you know, but interesting stories, like one thing that happened is that while we were walking to one of our places, because everything is widely spread out, like, it was crazy, like it was in University of Maryland is large. There's one time I was wearing something like this, and you know, it suddenly rained, it just rained. And I had a backpack, the zipper was broken, and we had to like hide, I was trying to shuttle underneath like the trees and stuff like that, but it was also thundering, so I couldn't do that. Terrible, terrible, absolutely awful. Other great stuff, there was live music. That's always fun. Danced a little. That's cool. There's me right there. Other stuff that happened, and after the actual EYA event, we actually visited Washington, D.C. itself and explored the places. We went to the Lincoln Memorial. That was pretty good. Got a statue, lost it. Other things, I think I saw the White House. I don't remember. It's blurry. Let's see. Notes. I can't read my own handwriting. And anyway, last thing, say it again? Oh yeah, so this was a crazy thing. So we had one of the people talking, they were talking, it was great stuff, and they mentioned Spider-Man for some reason, you know. It was like for an example or something, that was cool. Some guy, I swear, just randomly in the crowd was dressed as Spider-Man. It was and everyone just started like standing up, clapping, it was insane. Like I said, imagine like, this was not planned at all. Someone just brought this suit, decided to wear it one day, and this person was talking about it without even this knowledge, and it's like a Jesus moment. It was Jesus planned that. Yeah, and that's all.
Okay, so that's a little bit about EYE, Episcopal Youth Event. No, Kaysen's not next. Next, to talk about Camp Cross and maybe New Beginnings, Anna Osborne and Jack McDonald.
Okay. I don't like the stand either. Hi, I'm Anna Osborne. I'm currently attending St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Spokane, Washington, and I am part of your youth leadership team.
I'm Jack McDonald, like the old guy with the farm, and I'm a member of St. Anne's Episcopal Church in Omak, Washington. As we all know, Camp Cross is the best thing that has happened to Upper Left America since it was founded in 1923. The 100-year sweaters are over there. Buy them.
But some people might ask, Jack, what is Camp Cross?
Good question. It's a church camp, but it's not just any church camp. It's a camp on Coeur d'Alene Lake where you can make connections spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
It's a safe haven for all personalities and those who like cats over dogs and those who like pancakes over waffles. You are welcome everywhere, from the mailbox at the tip of the dock to Winston Rock, from Crescent Beach to Sunset Chapel.
Long-lasting friendships are formed, with 5 generations attending every summer and countless marriages. Let's not get too in-depth on that. Every year, we have up to 45 volunteers helping around our facilities with a staff of 15 awesome people who put their heart and soul into this camp.
As I grew up within this camp, the counselors and staff turned from strangers to friends and to a loving and grateful family. The second you step foot onto that dock, you're greeted with a warm, loving, and safe hug from all the staff, volunteers, and dogs. One thing I love about camp is the constant fun, love, and spiritual growth that surrounds you every second. You can never not vibe with Jesus at camp.
I love many things about camp. I love the community, the people, the activities, the silly acts and the variety shows, and the insane amount of Taylor Swift fans that swarm the premises. but most importantly, I love the food. Do you remember the days of elementary school where you could go outside and play with your friends and then your mother would yell, "Jack, come in for dinner"? Camp food gives me this feeling of having a great time being interrupted by some great food. Hold on. As much as this food tastes good, it's not the main reason why I love it so much. In Wells Hall, there are 16 tables, all with 6 to 8 chairs surrounding them, thus making them a great place to either talk with returning friends or make new ones. To add on to this, the food makes for a mix of catching up, like, "How have you been since last year?" and "Could you pass the salt?" Long story short, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all great times to chat, and that's why I love it.
Bishop, you no longer have to look for a new camp director. I'm right here. It's okay. Stop worrying. Me and Pia have already started the negotiations. It's okay. We've got it settled. I am even 45 minutes away. It's all good. Just want to point that out.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yep. Before we finish our talk about camp, there's one more very important aspect of camp: the director. For 3 amazing years, Sara Gunter has been our camp director, and she has done a great job, even when we had to deal with COVID for those couple years.
With her big, warm smile greeting you every morning at the Arc Deck for morning energizers, to singing campfire songs while absolutely bawling your eyes out on the last night. Her and her staff over these past few years have been the strongest and most bright thing in this little world. She can bring something to your life that is just unexplainable, a sense of joy, love, and happy tears. And with her arriving at camp, she brought Bear. Now, usually everything's about Bear, but not tonight. Sorry, Bear. No, it's my turn. Oh, JK, yeah.
Yeah. We would like to give a big round of applause for all the hard work, love, and care that she put into our program and into us and into our beautiful little world of the Spokane Diocese.
Sara, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields until we meet again. May God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. You're so welcome.
Thank you. I knew something was happening and kept myself from asking much. Thank you very much for that entertaining and honest and insightful talk, and for this beautiful gift that I will unpack later. But there is a Camp Cross blanket in there, which is very exciting. Buy one. We are nothing if not pitches. Pitches. I have put off writing this report because I couldn't. I am speechless. I am moved and honored by this place, by the faithful work that you all do, that we do together. The ways that you show up for one another have shown up for me, for camp, for our youth. I have no words. I took this job thinking that I could and would be here for a very long time. And that was my intention. And this has certainly not been long enough. The Midwest, I never thought that I would say that I longed for the Midwest. And yet I have found myself increasingly wanting and needing to go home. And that means leaving the home that I have found here. So thank you, and know that you have an incredible group of capable and wise and thoughtful and silly, marvelous youth, and incredible adults in this room who are already taking over to make sure that New Beginnings happens in November, that our youth are continued to be cared for, that camp continues to run and be the incredible place that it is. And so I am excited and so grateful for being able to pass the baton on to so many, and know that there will be another incredible, whether it is Anna Osborne yet or not, there will be others. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with that, Skip is going to come up here, Skip Hubbard, and talk about Woven as One and 100 years and more about Camp Cross as our business and facilities manager. Yes, you can.
So yes, wow, that was just like I thought it would be. For those of a certain age, and you all are of a certain age, John Boehner has nothing on me, so I'm very emotional, let's put it that way. I cry at a Hallmark commercial. Anyway, I'm going to give you what's basically what I call like a snapshot of the state of camp, where we are right now. Just looking at where we are, and basically we started a campaign, which many of you know and are great supporters of, which was the Woven as One campaign. And during that time, it was literally, we started it as COVID shut us down. And people said, "You're crazy to do it. Why would you do this? This is insane." Well, Gretchen said, "We are insane. Let's do this." So we did it, and we've done well. We initially got a large initial donation, which enabled us to do a lot of activities and improvements of deferred maintenance, which included replacing all of our decking, which was about, I don't know, it was 15 pallets of 20-foot pieces of Trex decking. So we replaced all of our decking at Camp Cross, which was fabulous. We were able to paint 42 buildings. We resurfaced the front of the Ark. For those that don't know, the front of the Ark is that is our main building that sits on the beach, and it contains what often people say is like that is the most prized possession of camp, is because everybody gets to sign their name in there. You get a Sharpie and you get to sign wherever you want in that building. So we put up some hardy plank and did all of that, and it was fabulous. It also enabled us to, we replaced 23 doors, which were all going bad, so we replaced them with 20. I didn't know we had 23 doors at Camp Cross on our main building. It's like, it's crazy. It was weird to me, but we put marine grade doors in, and they are not cheap, for those who know what marine grade doors mean, and to put stainless steel so the porcupines don't destroy them. That's what had happened in our previous life. We were able to purchase property for parking because we had, as the lake has become more and more busy, we were asked to not park as many vehicles, so they basically gave us 2 parking spots as opposed to the 14 that we had before, which were not enough to begin with anyway. So we had to purchase some parking property, which is 2.8 miles away. Came with a place where we could park all of our vehicles, all of our boats and things like that, so we were able to
save money there. So it's sort of like we're creating economies. It's like we're doing the best we can with what God has given us. So we did purchase that, and we also purchased a new van at that time. Our old van, anyone who was in it, it's like you'd see the duct tape on the windows, and this is not safe. It's like there's no air conditioning in the back. It was a whole thing. So anyway, so we were able to do all of that, and so right now we're sitting with a little north of $1 million, which Lori, to her credit, has moved into a safe place because we were concerned about the banks that were failing. So we moved our monies out of that to keep our money safe, and we'll be making about $30,000 in 6 months, which is not a bad thing. And as we're banking money, we didn't want to spend any money before we were able to actually fund it. And to that end, Gretchen is currently writing a grant, a Murdoch grant, which will enable us to leverage the money we have in the bank, the money we've spent, and our plans moving forward, which would include basically, we call them adult housing, basically because they have bathrooms. So we're trying to increase the availability and inclusivity and ease of transportation, like get nice trail systems in there, and so people that have mobility issues can actually travel around. And add a third dock, which would be super nice for us. For those that know, we used to have another dock, and it's just not there anymore. And that was the initial plan, but they're expensive, and it never got funded. So we're looking to do all of those things. So all that's just to say, it's like those that have been great supporters of Camp Cross through the Woven as One campaign and through their annual giving, which we use as what we call the annual fund. I just thank you. I thank you, and we all thank you. You've done fabulously, and we look to do right by you. That's basically what we're trying to do. So this year, our campaign was, we are branches on, if you look at our Camp Cross t-shirts over there, this is a shameless plug. So anyway, if you go over there, it's like you will see we have our camper shirts, which have every year we have a different design logo. And this year it was, along with the diocesan campaign, we are branches on God's vine, rooted in Jesus, which is awesome. And so it's like you can go over, it's like, yes, there you go. She's holding one up now. It's like we have many different sizes. If you're interested, they're available for free or by donation. And so anyway, we're just doing the best we can for camp, and we instituted many years ago, when I first came on, I said, it's like, you know what we need to do is like, because of the amount of deferred maintenance we had, I said, we need to really just get this in line and put some money in places that it needs to be spent. And we've done that, and so we haven't. If anybody has noticed, when I came on, it's like we had a $50,000 ask for some pontoon floats because the pontoon had continuously been leaking the pontoons. And so we haven't had to go hat in hand in the last 5 years. That may be just dumb luck, I don't know, but it's like that was my goal, and I think that was Gretchen's goal, and under her leadership, she's put lots of money towards it, and it's been a great thing. It's like she's been really the best thing we can ask for in this. But I like to read this. Joyce McClanahan, who is from All Saints Richland, great supporter of camp, and she wrote what was called The Jewel of Spokane. The jewel of the diocese, a place apart, is what she called it. And this is just what she said. She said, the plane announced each episode of the TV series Fantasy Island. As a few guests arrived to fulfill their dreams in most unexpected ways. The boat is heard up, and here's John Boehner, up and down the dock because excited campers see the magic carpet coming around to take place apart, to a renewal in spirit and relationships. For many, this is a once-a-year chance to dip into the lake, paddle a canoe, see bald eagles, get a night at the lake, for a run at the greenhouses in the dark, sit around the campfire singing fun songs, hike up through the woods to a wonderful viewpoint, or to hike to Sunrise Chapel in the morning. And special experiences might include a sleepover in the floor of Wallace if there's a really big thunderstorm. All this participation, this immersion experience is real active life, is even greater contrast to life dominated by electronic devices. And she wrote this a really long time ago, which is really funny to me. It's like she had no idea. And along that time, we also did a survey of like, what is camp to you? It's like, and these are some of the takeaways from it. It's like, for many of us, Camp Cross is our spiritual touchstone. Camp Cross offers the opportunity for intensive Christian growth. Camp Cross brings youth, young adults, and clergy together. This gets them to be more involved in their church and dioceses. Camp Cross is the center place for an excellent youth program. The future of the diocese is dependent upon enthusiastic youth. Camp Cross is the core of our youth ministry. Camp Cross has potential for use by all ages. And I will put an asterisk on that one because that is one of the things we intend to do. And that's our goal, is to make it possible for all ages to use it simultaneously. Camp Cross adds value to lives of the participants through its programs and unique location. Camp Cross is an indispensable asset. Camp Cross is our best asset to help us attract young families for our faith. As teenagers seem to wander off from the church, Camp Cross reconnects them without their noticing they're doing church, which is what every good therapist will tell you. It's like you get them to do things that they don't realize they're doing. And Camp Cross is the place where my kids had that aha moment. The church is bigger than just a certain place. So, that being said, I'd like to just take off my shirt. It's like, don't get excited. I'm not doing anything exciting. It's like, on the back of my shirt here, I'm going to take this off. On the back of my shirt here, every year we have a volunteer shirt, which is also available over on that counter for donation or for free. We just want to get rid of them at this point. It says, it's a quote. It says, "If you find it in your heart to care for somebody else, you will have succeeded." And that's what Camp Cross does, in my opinion. We care for others, and I think we have succeeded. And that was a quote by, for those who don't know, Maya Angelou. So, that's it. Thank you very much.
And before you have us sing,
Yeah.
so I just want to clarify or add a little bit to what Skip said about I'm writing a grant. So I recently found out there's a Murdoch Foundation, which is not the same thing as the Murdoch Foundation that I've heard of before, that only gives grants to the Pacific Northwest. And when I read about them online, I didn't think we qualified until I found out Luther Haven had grants from them. And then I said, well, clearly we do. So we have right now enough money in the bank to build some adult cabins. But we don't have enough money to build both the adult cabins and the retreat house. And the retreat house will allow us to expand the offerings, because part of our challenge is, where do people do the program work? And the biggest challenge actually is getting the infrastructure in place, because you can't get to camp by car. And so in order to get, for instance, cement poured or electrical wires put in or plumbing, you need them to come by boat. And so that adds to the expense. And so having that happen all at once is way cheaper in the long run than doing it once and then doing it again. And so the grant would allow us to, we're asking for a matching grant from what we've already raised, so we could do the adult cabins and the retreat house and the third dock all at the same time. So I know that there's some impatience, including on my own self, to get the adult cabins built, but we just want to make sure that we leverage the money appropriately in a way that gives us as much opportunity as possible. And so far, we've had fairly good success with grants, so we're hoping this will continue, and we will actually know by probably this summer whether we're going to have it or not. So I just wanted to clarify, add some more about the grants. Sara.
So lastly, before the youth and camp time is done, this past summer at Arts Camp, Aaron Leffelbein came as one of our resource people, and he led our community, our campers, in a process of writing a song together that we then sang at our closing Eucharist, and Skip and others passed out lyrics, and we would love to sing with you. And Aaron, maybe you want to do some orienting, teaching around that.
Sure. So this song has a refrain. We decided that 1 week with middle school age kids was not enough to completely compose an entire song, because there's such varied musical ability amongst the campers, and we wanted everyone to feel like they had a part. So what we did is we took a familiar tune. We took the tune of Be Thou My Vision, and we wrote new words to it. And you may notice we have words like mycelium. That is not a word that the adults came up with. The campers insisted that we include that. We spent the week listening to other artists because we value listening, and we wanted to include that as part of the week for the campers. So we spent the week listening, and one of the songs that we listened to had a poem in Spanish that was written about a thunderstorm, because on Monday of that week, during swim time, we had a cloudburst thunderstorm. Part of that poem said, "We must sing until the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars." And so we decided that would be our refrain, and we did write some original music for that. So that is our refrain that we'll sing between each verse. You know the tune, you've got the words. I encourage you to give it the old college try and sing along. And the refrain goes like this. We will sing as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars. We will sing. Let's sing that together. We will sing as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars. We will sing. The roots and mycelium beneath the great forest green. Jesus provides us with blessings unseen, source of living water, connected in love. He strengthens and guides us as we grow in His love. And we will sing as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars, we will sing. Rooted in Jesus, our hands we extend, like branches that upward to heaven ascend, clothed in brilliant colors and bursting with song, filled with abundant life in God all belong. We will sing as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars. We will sing. And God, like the sun, with its bright warming rays, illuminates all of our darkness and haze, and clears the pollution that hides from our sight all of the wonders of the stars in the night. We will sing, and we will sing as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars. We will sing. And now all together our voices we raise, with all of creation we joyously praise our loving, liberating, and life-giving Lord, Jesus our Savior, forever adored. And we will sing, as the song puts forth roots, trunk, branches, birds, and stars. We will sing.
Thank you to Arts Camp for writing that. Aaron, thank you for bringing it. What was that? Thank you. Andrea,
I'm here. Wow, another thank you. That song was beautiful. So my name is Andrea Farley. I am the canon for Discipleship. And my role is to keep a finger on the pulse of how we follow Jesus in our on the diocesan level, and then offer support in following Jesus with each congregation in our diocese. This September marked 4 years of this position in the diocese, and also of my tenure here at the Diocese of Spokane. And it continues to be a position of challenge, of deep engagement, and of joy. I continue to experience deep gratitude to engage this work with Bishop Gretchen and with the staff, and with all of the clergy and laity here in our diocese. So thank you for each of you as we follow Jesus together. With a nod to the late, great John Lewis, who invited us to engage in good trouble, we have been up to some good discipleship trouble as a diocese this past year. We have stepped towards developing small groups and small group ministries in our diocese. We had a couple trainings this past January, and then did more small group development with the Being With course that a number of us were trained in this past year. We engaged various resources and formation ideas in our congregations and as a diocese. These included prayer ideas, spiritual practices, book groups and formation series, small groups resources, ideas for spiritual engagement with creation, racial education, healing, and advocacy work, listening to non-dominant voices, etc. Many of these resources and ideas were sent out in quarterly emails that went out to our active clergy email list and our lay leaders email list. The lay leadership email list is available to anyone. And if you would be interested in receiving occasional emails from our office with different formation ideas and information and events coming up, please speak with Jeremy. Would you be willing to stand up, Jeremy? This is the wonderful Jeremy Armstrong, and he will help you get your name and your email address on our lay leadership email list. We engaged good discipleship trouble in our diocesan prayer. Our use of the Who is this Jesus scripture passages and conversation prompts, and in our Tending the Vine monthly Zooms that were rooted in our strategic plan targets of hospitality, of going deeper in our relationship with Jesus, and in listening, learning, and developing together. We engaged good discipleship trouble in our Community of Hope training and our Circles of Care. Community of Hope is a program that seeks to develop lay pastoral care providers that are grounded in Benedictine spiritual practice. Our own Kathy Kelly and James Dideau offered a new diocesan-wide training in 2023, and we continue to have ongoing Circles of Care throughout the diocese, which consists of folks who have trained together in the pastoral care through Community of Hope and still meet together to go deeper in discipleship and offer support structures as they engage in the work of pastoral care. We engaged good discipleship trouble in retreat spaces. We had a virtual retreat for everyone in the diocese this past November 2022. We also had Women's Weekend at Camp Cross, and it was a wonderful space of meaningful connection and practices of prayer together. Sadly, Men's Weekend at Camp Cross was all planned and ready to go, but needed to be canceled due to low registration numbers. We engaged good discipleship work, good discipleship trouble, in our Care of Creation and our Becoming Beloved Community working groups. And I will let their words speak for themselves as they have already offered the work that they did. I'm so grateful to work alongside Pat Munts and Rick Matters, and alongside the other faithful members of these teams. We engaged good discipleship trouble in the formation cohort team. This is my main formation team, and it consists of one representative from each of the diocesan teams and committees whose main function is formation. So we have a representative from the Commission on Ministry, one from Adult Formation, one from Youth and Families Ministry, one from Becoming Beloved Community Working Group, one from Creation Care Working Group, and one from the Congregational Development Support Team. We will reconfigure a bit for next year, but continue to have this team. I'm so grateful to Catherine Carr-Cornejo, Sandy Peck, Sara Gunter, Jeannie Jackson, Pat Munts, and Scott Oakshott, who have met monthly to be a communication conduit from and back to their representative team, as well as to discuss some big picture formation topics that play out in each of those teams and committees. This year, our team has spent time with two big picture topics that we have spent months learning about and discussing. We spent time with faith development stages and evangelism. These have been incredibly life-giving conversations. I'm currently brainstorming ways to make the learnings from our reading and conversations available to the diocese as a whole. And we have been engaging good discipleship trouble in discernment. Discernment and listening are core to being disciples of Jesus. In my own role, discipleship plays out in continually listening and being curious about what is gaining traction in your local contexts. What may have worked in the past that may need to be changed or pruned to be more effective? What are the deep longings and desires we are experiencing, and how can we listen to those as promptings of the Holy Spirit? How might we listen to God and to one another better? These are some of the ongoing discernment questions that come up continually in my role, And I am continually grateful to have those as conversation partners. Of course, the discernment that we all live into is a matter both of listening to the promptings of God and also of listening to the needs and desires of one another. And so for the next 5 minutes, and I will ask one of my friends to set a timer here because I left my phone at my table, I will ask you to turn to one another in groups of 3 or 4 and discuss a question together, and I'll give you the question in just a minute. And then very importantly, I want you to write down notes about what you all said. I came around and put 3 pieces of half sheets of white paper in the middle of your tables. So please write down notes about your conversation. This is a meaningful way for us as a diocesan staff to listen to the needs and desires that you and your congregations have around discipleship matters. You'll have 5 minutes again for this process, and I'll let you know when that time is completed. Here is the prompt. What might you need from the diocesan level to support you in your individual and congregational discipleship? You can see the question up on the screens, and I will let you know when 5 minutes has elapsed. right. If you could wrap up your final thoughts. I hate to interrupt all this generative conversation. This is very energizing conversation taking place. Jeremy is coming around to collect your papers, but please keep the ideas going. And you can see these are not fancy forms that I gave you, so please jot down more thoughts as you have them and hand them to me. I want to remind all of you that I am available to you. I am available to everyone in the diocese for conversations about formation programs or ideas or resources. I'm available to come to your congregations and host conversations or workshops. I love preaching, and I can lead a mean morning prayer like I said last year. I can also join vestry meetings to help host conversations in that way as well. I am eager and hopeful to step into this new year of deep listening, learning, and loving together. We will do so with curiosity and courage. And it is yet another reminder of hope that we do not do this work alone. Thank you for following Jesus and for doing so together.
Thank you, Andrea. Chair calls upon Canons Caroline McCall and Susan Cleveley for Congregational Development report.
All right. So I'm Susan Cleveley, if you don't know who I am.
And I'm Caroline McCall, Canon for Congregational Development.
So what we're going to do is just quickly, next slide, thanks, talk through a few of the areas that promote and strengthen congregational development in our places. So one of the first ways is direct support from diocesan staff. We are resource, thinking partners, coaches, workshop presenters, such as when Canon Andrea did small groups formation. That was formation and congregational development. Who knew? And facilitate meetings. We also offer some tech support when you're building things at home, all in an effort to live out our mission, to journey alongside our congregations as we seek to serve Christ in your particular context.
We have also worked together with the entire diocesan staff, and as a staff, we offer the lay Zooms that the bishop referenced earlier in her address. This past year, that was called Tending the Vine, consistent with our diocesan theme. And we are going to be continuing those next year. So it is once a month. This emerged out of the pandemic. Everyone is invited to those. It is the first Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock. We will be focusing on mission and stewardship and evangelism in this coming year.
Another way we offer opportunities to strengthen and deepen your congregation in their faith journey is through our gathering days, which the bishop has also spoken about. These happen within the 4 regions throughout the diocese twice a year, once in the spring and always on the 4th Saturday in September in the fall. And everyone who is interested in strengthening and developing your congregation are invited to attend. Much like the College for Congregational Development, we pray, we offer fellowship, we learn, resource one another, and wonder together, all in service of forming disciples and servants of Jesus in our congregational settings.
We also offer congregational consulting, and this happens both as diocesan staff members, people like Canon Andrea, like Susan, like myself, Lori Boss, come out and consult with congregations on specific issues. We also are developing a team of congregational consultants. We are training people who have the skills and interest to work with congregations in specific areas. And as the bishop mentioned, we have funding available to cover the cost of those consultants. If you read news and notes and you scroll to the bottom, you will have noticed that there is a form you can fill out to request a grant for congregational consulting, or you can come talk to me.
Another way that we support is through church growth and development grants. Those are an opportunity that happen every year that we have enough money in that endowment, so support that. And it's for congregations to apply for funds to strengthen a current ministry or to initiate new ministries. And this last year, we granted 11 grants.
The Congregational Development Support Team was one way that we were reaching out to congregations and staying connected. That team started in June of 2022, and it actually ended its work in September of this year. All of the members of that team are invited to be among the consultants who will be available to congregations. The big thing that this means is that you, as congregations, will no longer be getting a call once or twice a year from someone saying, I just want to check in with you. When you want and need congregational development support, you get to reach out and tell us what you want and need, and we will respond.
And finally, we have the College for Congregational Development, and instead of listening to me talk about it in this venue, we have a video to present this year. Thank you to Richard Chan for putting it together. Hi, I'm the Reverend Canon Susan Cleveley, and I'm the director of the College for Congregational Development in the Diocese of Spokane. The college is a 2-year intensive program where we invite congregations to send teams to learn and grow together as they work to develop their communities of faith into more healthy, faithful, and effective places for serving God. Where we spend time in large group sessions as well as small groups. And in the small groups, we get the opportunity to work as a team on different congregations and the issues that they present, the challenges and opportunities. So practicing the theory is a way that we can deepen and integrate what we've learned before we go home and continue to practice in our congregations.
It's very well organized. I can see where a majority of the process has to do with exactly what we need, which is understanding where we are, where we want to be, and how to get there.
One of the things the college offers is finding a way or putting together a way to do development within the congregation. So finding a way to be faithful, staying rooted and grounded in our identity as Christians, as people who follow Jesus, as people who are Episcopalians on that journey, how to connect with the world around us.
Transforming goodness, love's abiding, gentle grace, love's endurance, love's assurance, love's consoling, strong embrace.
We're going to determine what we're going to do next to reach out into our neighborhood is what we really want to do more of. And so the change models are so helpful in planning.
And I can't wait to begin using it and to integrate it just into what I already know. It's tremendously relevant.
So the College for Congregational Development, what is it and why should you come? So the college is a great training program for clergy and lay leadership in our congregations to come together and to do an intensive time looking at their congregation, looking at the ministries, the structures, the systems, the people, not in a critical way, but in a way of helping the congregation become that which God wants for them in the first place, more faithful, more healthy, more effective communities of faith. We do this with other congregations, not only in our diocese, but places from around the country come. And you really have a chance to learn in community, to engage in trying stuff out. And when you're done with the first summer week, you go home and you practice something. I as a chemist, so I like to say you do an experiment. But the whole point is to find something you think God is inviting your congregation to grow and strengthen, and to try that out and learn from that. You learn about yourself, you learn about small groups, you learn about the whole system, but most importantly, it's a chance for you to get a stronger, healthier congregation. Commit to the time. It's the best training program out there. So come to CCD, because it is one of the best things you'll do. It's intense, but it is worth it.
So one of the things you should know is that we have grants available for one more year to cover, to help support those who want to send people to CCD. So please keep that in mind. I'm going to tell 3 quick stories about other things that have happened in the last year in the area of congregational development. These are 2 of these congregations. There's a direct link to the college that you will see in the congregational development work that I'm going to tell you about. The first story I want to share with you is about the Church of the Resurrection in Roslyn. And a little over a year ago, a very strong lay leader departed that congregation. And the new leadership at Resurrection Roslyn reached out to diocesan staff to say, we know that we have a lot of work to do. We know that we need help revitalizing our bishops' committee. We need help reimagining our mission and ministry. We want to strengthen and grow, and we know we want help to do that. That help came in the form of a couple of us working directly with the bishops' committee. Canon Susan and I worked together to design a retreat in the spring that really focused on the effectiveness of the bishops' committee in Roslyn. Roslyn also sent a team to the college. And as part of the work at the college, you get to go home and put something into practice. And they certainly took that home and put it into practice. They have done trainings with the entire congregation, sharing models from the college. They have changed the way the bishop committee works, the processes, and they have engaged in some data gathering, listening in order to act. One of the things that came out of that is the collage that you see on the left here on the slide. They have multiple of these, which are ways of expressing that congregation when it is at its best. Just this past weekend, I was in Roslyn working with the Bishops' Committee, and they have done great work in understanding their context, thinking through their core values, and drafting a new mission statement. Another congregation is St. David's Spokane. I reached out to St. David's Spokane a little less than a year ago, and I said, I really want the opportunity to work with some congregations that are ready to do congregational development. And I was fortunate that the vestry agreed that they wanted me to come and work with them. We spent some time together. They identified an opportunity and a need to focus on where God is at work in their spiritual life and formation in that congregation. They decided that they wanted to work with Renewal Works, which is out of Forward Movement. It's a survey. Many of you are probably familiar with it. And it really focuses on what is feeding the spiritual life and development in a place, feeding a place's relationship with Jesus. So they had, that survey was just offered at the end of the summer. They also took a team to the College for Congregational Development. And out of that, they realized they wanted to do more data gathering that felt more real time, that was right there present in the congregation on these same questions. And you can see on the right that one of the members of the team drew one of the congregational development models and led an effort. She and the rest of the team led some efforts across 2 Sundays to gather data from the people on where they are experiencing God's transformation in their life at St. David's Spokane. And both of these data gathering efforts will be informing the life and ministry of St. David's over the next several years. They are going to keep working with this data to define their next steps. So that is congregational development, a combination of using diocesan staff, the college, and equipping themselves to do more data gathering. And the final story I want to tell you is one that is really special to me, and that is, next slide, that is a story about St. Matthew's Prosser. When I arrived in this diocese, Jan Griffin was then the regional developer for the Southwest region, and she reached out to me and said, you know, I've been contacted by the lay leadership at St. Matthew's, and they actually really have some questions that are hard questions, and I wonder if you'd talk to them. And I talked to the leader there, and I actually checked with him today. I checked with Clay to be sure it was okay to share this. My initial conversation with him, he was really asking me, how can I help this place die gracefully? I do not know that we have a future. And then we engaged in some conversation about that. Canon Sara, Canon Andrea, and I all went to visit. And by the time we got there to visit, about 3 months after that conversation with Clay, they had already begun to feel a spark of new life that came from pursuing an idea initially proposed by Kathy Aubry, one of their members, to build a labyrinth on the corner of their land. There in Prosser, right there where people could come and experience God in whatever way they were going to access God in this beautiful place. And that idea and the commitment to make that move forward, well, first of all, a huge amount is due to a man named Kerry Norton, who spent countless hours putting this labyrinth in place. It is absolutely beautiful, as you can see from these pictures. Kristen Keyes consulted with them on labyrinths. She is available, by the way. She loves labyrinths. She's available to do this with you. And as that labyrinth was being created and this new energy came to fruition in this particular congregation, they, in a parallel effort, realized that there were opportunities to be more formal and structured in their partnership with other small congregations in that area. And so as of June of this last year, in continuing their advancing in congregational development, St. Matthew's entered into a more formal partnership agreement with Trinity Sunnyside and with St. Michael's Yakima. They are developing. They are a place where we see a spark, and that spark has burst into a little flame, and that little flame is growing, and they are interested and committed to being a place where Jesus is coming to life in their community, both for the people who already worship there and for the people that surround them. So those are just 3 stories, 3 examples of how congregational development has happened in this diocese over the last year. It's happening in many of your places too, perhaps all of your places, and I don't know all the stories. I hope you will share your stories with one another. I hope that you will share them with me, and I hope that you will reach out when you have questions, whether those are questions of wondering if you have a future, being confused about what it is, or questions that are, we have a small idea, how can you help us bring this to fruition? Because that's what I am here for, that's what your diocesan staff are here for, as we strengthen our communities of faith. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. One of the things we did early on at convention was we adopted a schedule order of business. The chair is ruling that when there's a conflict between there are still topics to be talked about and a break, the break will win. So we are shortly over our time frame, but we still have some things. We are moving courtesy resolutions to the later block. During the break, I need John McDonald to talk to me and I call on dispatch for one announcement that needs to be made before we go into break. And when we return from break, we're back in here at 3:30. Dispatch.
All right. This is a reminder that the drawing for the quilt is just before worship this evening. You do not need, however, to purchase a ticket to donate to the Bishop's Scholarship Fund. We have had several donations. Feel free to donate any amount at the table in the back of the room.
And we are in recess until 3:30. I believe that this time snacks are available.